to Causing the Effect, a podcast focused on the exploration of your mind, body, and spirit.
Yo, what's up, people? Welcome to the Causing the Effect channel. Today I'm joined, we're already in the midst of a podcast here with Dr. Sarah. Dr. Sarah Zaldivar. Sarah has her PhD in exercise physiology, master's and bachelor's in nutrition, dietetics, but we were just talking about this. We do not box ourselves up. And I feel like you're like me, Sarah, where there's a lot of different interests. There's a lot of things going on. So I'll just start with a rant. I never even start with this question. I'm going to say, who are you? We'll start there.
Wow. Okay,
that's a big one. I don't even know if that's answerable, but I'll let you take it.
Yeah, I think of myself as like a creator. I create my reality, my life, and I work on creating the world that I want to live in. And so to be a creator, you have to be an eternal learner. And so I'm constantly learning and I'm constantly growing, because the more great ideas you put in, then the more great ideas you can give out to the world. That's, in a nutshell, is how I would define myself, if you can really like define yourself.
No, I love that. Now that creativity, because that's something I'm not, I know it's in me, and I would say I'm an artist in the way with the podcast, and I have that side of me, but was that always a natural thing for you, like being a creator and an artist? And is that something that you've kind of honed in over time?
I don't want to say that it was just me, because I think all children have that. I think we're all born with talents, and we're all born being playful and creative. But like growing up, I would put on dance shows for the whole family with like the appetizers, fix the food and everything, and put all of my cousins in tow and teach them a choreography and then perform it. I would, sing and dance every time there's a gathering, ever since I was like 3-4 years old, maybe even younger. I would put on fashion shows. I would cut up different garments and like film myself, like put them in different ways, like create different clothes and then film myself walking down, or have somebody film me walking down the hallway. But I wasn't encouraged to do that. Oh, another thing, I would do a lot of fashion portraits. I keep forgetting that. I had really good, again, like fashion again, I would draw the model and I would create all kinds of different outfits. I would do a lot of those things. So all kinds of creative things I would do, but I wasn't like supported like the way if I were born in the United States, because I don't know if people know, but I was born, I lived all my life in Lebanon. So over there, it's not, and at least in the environment that I grew up in, it wasn't like, oh, what are the extracurricular activities that we want to give our children so they have this well-rounded personality? It wasn't like that. So I never took like any extracurricular artistic things. It wasn't encouraged. And so this is why after I left Lebanon, I put myself through those kinds of artistic classes, piano lessons, singing lessons, dancing lessons. The only thing that I started very early on I would wait tables, and with the money that I would get from that, I would, take dance classes. And so here also I continue to do that.
What kind of dancer?
So especially salsa, bachata, Latin dancing, and belly dancing, and reggaeton, dancehall, Afrobeats. This is a recent new obsession of mine, but all three together. But I would say the longest that I've ever trained would be in salsa and Latin dancing.
So funny enough, I don't even think people on the channel know this. I never spoke about it. Nobody's spoken about dancing. So my first shot of confidence. So my sister did heavy hip hop dancing, and I was in classes giving and taking, but I was very shy growing up. And my mother was like, why aren't you ever dance? Like, you're an amazing dancer. I was like, Ma, I'm not, at Sweet 16, I would be sitting down. I was always nervous to dance. And my first girlfriend, my ex-wife, all that stuff, she was an amateur ballroom dancer. So I was like, what do you want to do? So we entered the Manhattan Amateur Classic. So we were doing bachata, salsa, little waltz, little bit of everything. You had to do a little bit of everything. And that was like my first exposure to like confidence and like, oh shit, like I got some moves here. I could let things roll. So I'm with you. I don't think anybody knows that, but I like
Yeah.
now I'm like the 10 years later, I'm the first guy on the dance floor. I'm at the weddings. I'm doing the whole thing. And it's a good way to get women too. So it's all been, I'm with you on
It works.
everything.
It's
Yeah.
a win-win, whichever way you look at it. And also, if you're into fitness and if you really want to optimize for your health and longevity, that means you have to cut out a lot of those addictive foods that people eat. And for me, I feel like when I'm always preaching all the negative things about different foods, even foods that most people might consider to be healthy, I feel like we're taking so much away from people. And I think dance is such a primal, addictive, naturally addictive activity that I would like to replace the food with, so one of my biggest dreams and goals would be to have a company where we'd have dance boxes in neighborhoods as opposed to having fast food chains everywhere. So instead of, if you want to get together with your loved ones and your friends and family, you could go to a dance box where there'll be places where you can sit, but also there'll be dance floors and like a bonfire. And then there'll be instructor over there teaching beginner dance steps. Instructor over there is more intermediate dance steps. And you learn, and then you get to share that with whoever you get together with. And then there would be food too, but like it wouldn't be the addictive foods that you feel every time. If somebody wants to be truly dedicated and healthy and fit, it's always a problem going out, social outings. It's always something that you have to really plan and go out of your way to make sure you stay on track. And so I want to make that as easy as possible, or hopefully that'll inspire somebody else to do it. It's not like I need to do it. I just want to see that in the world.
No, that is such a beautiful thing. Like me being the guy, I in Brooklyn, not a lot of guys are dancers. So now like my relationship with dance has like totally changed. Cause I would say when I was not confident and uncomfortable dancing, it was like, oh, what is the point? And I would even say I went through this in like, I look at it now, like there's a parallel to life, because I look at life like a dance now where you have to, it's not about where you go and dance. It's about how you move. It's about enjoying the moment. And like, there really is the purpose of dance is dance itself. Like that is and I used to, be a very like go-getter with the goals. And I'm sure you're the same way, like that doing thing. But now I'm starting to realize like the meaning of life is life itself. It's the same thing as the dance. Like, and that's kind of the way I look at music, is like, it is that eternal present cosmic energy that we're looking for in that every day. Like those moments you have, like when you dance, there's a reason why we love it. There's a reason why, like there's just nothing like it. I think that's like, you're peeking in like almost through the illusion of life when you're in the middle of dance. I don't know if that makes any sense, but how do you view dance?
I love it. I love the way that you look at it, for sure. It's it's just being in the moment and just feeling like feeling those primal emotions. This dancing has been with us ever since we became humans. We would go every other night. There's a good paper. I don't know how much of your audience is quote unquote nerdy in the best way possible. Whenever we say nerdy, it's like, for me, like I'm the biggest nerd. It's like the best compliment. So Dr. Lauren Cordain published a paper. He's one of the most well-known people that brought paleo and ancestral diets to the public. And there's a paper he wrote where he talks about how hunter-gatherers every other night would have a bonfire and they would dance around it till the wee hours of the morning. And and they would, have drums and stuff. And so it's like that rhythm and that movement. It's not like they had choreography. It's not like, those are the dance steps you need to learn. And, no, it was just something so primal to us as humans that I feel almost as if you don't have music in your life, there's like some sort of a music deficiency syndrome that happens. It's like such an important element for happiness, in my opinion. So I completely get what you're saying.
No, I'm with it. It's funny. I always look back, like the music I was listening to in my, like when you're going through your, you're young and confident, and the music that you listen to really kind of leaves different impressions. Because if you saw me when I was 18, I was doing like the hard rock emo stuff, the world's against me, victim blaming. Even nowadays, when I want to go out and listen to Drake and I'm all jacked up thinking I'm the man, leaving the quotes on the Instagram, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, you have to watch you. I don't think we really realize like how much it kind of leaves an impression on your soul. And I think that's the coolest part of it. It's like whatever mood you're in, it kind of just gets you where you want to go.
I agree. I agree. See, but for me, I don't do sad music because it just saddens me even more,
Yeah,
you
I
know.
know.
But
I know.
I get how sometimes it's like you're vibing at the same level if you're down, and then their music's feeling is also like a little more melancholic or sad. You're vibing at the same level, so you can enjoy it more. So I do understand that. I've had like one period when that happened, when I was like really depressed working on my dissertations, just taking forever for my advisor to get back to me. It's just so frustrating. And I would listen to Lana Del Rey's music because it's very like,
That'll do it.
oh,
That'll do it.
that was the first time I understood. I was like, I finally get it why people like to listen to sad music, you know? But yeah, like generally in my life, I like to always put like upbeat, like fun, happy,
Mhm.
all that kind of stuff, just to give me as much energy as possible.
Are you listening in the gym to music, or are you one of those people that doesn't have it on? I would think you're
No,
listening.
I do. Yeah, I do listen to music. I went through a phase not too long ago where I would listen to podcasts and stuff and just learn new things or interviews. And then I went back to the music.
I did the same thing because I listen. I think it's great because you're probably like me. We want to grow. We want to listen and do two things. But I think the workout does take a hit if you're listening to little Jordan Peterson or Jocko, and you're like, it's like now I listen to like instrumental music almost, but
Mhm.
things that I kind of get you in the zone more because my issue is I go too fast and I want to like slow it down. I want to get that mind muscle connection with everything I do and and all that good stuff. But now I want to get back
Exactly.
to the Sarah in Lebanon. Because
Yeah.
how was that, being a person who's so hard to kind of categorize yourself living in that culture? And then
Mm.
the follow-up question is how was coming to America, and how did that whole thing look?
So I lived a pretty I have like happy memories growing up until I hit puberty. I think it was like maybe 11 or 12, and around the same time also I must have gained a few pounds, but I mean I was still really not that overweight, but definitely not as lean as the other girls in the class. And I remember one of my classmates passing conversation tells me that I'm fat. And obviously you're scarred as a child. And that's when I started developing, very a very deep interest and awareness about my body, about food and weight loss and all those kinds of things. And it didn't go well because I would do restrictive eating and not eat, like barely eat anything, and then break down and have like a jar of Nutella, like literally the jar or
Yep.
3/4 of it, like the big one. And so this cycle of eating disorders, binge eating disorder, really, I spent the vast majority of my teenage years going through that. And that was even worsened when I was 14, and I was just really, really sad about the whole situation. And I begged my mom to take me to a dietitian, which she finally did. And they put me on the food guide pyramid. The base of it is high carbs, low fat, which was the worst thing you can do with somebody's body type who has a tendency to gain weight, right? I mean, and if you have a tendency to gain weight, you start with the root cause, which is too much carbohydrates and too much insulin being produced in your body. And so that all made it even worse. And that culminated with a suicidal ideation and suicidal attempts of 3 attempts, of which one was very serious. Thankfully, nothing happened. And obviously, I'm still alive. So that was like the pinnacle of it. But it was really, really hard. And I really was very depressed during that period of time. I remember when we graduated high school, I didn't even go like to all the celebrations. They were doing all kinds of events. I didn't even want to go out. I didn't want to leave the house. Also, around that time, I started having issues with acne. So, it was a lot of things. Plus, financially, my parents weren't doing well. So it's like everything on top of one another. I was just basically living in survival mode up until I left Lebanon, literally. And so, you know, going through my bachelor's and my master's in nutrition were obvious attempts to fix my health and my weight loss and everything. And but I was living in survival mode up until I left, for sure.
So you left in your teens?
No, I did my bachelor's and my master's in Lebanon, and I was waiting tables around that time as well. So after high school, I got a job. Actually, last year of high school, I picked up a job at a fast food company. So I was working 4 nights, 4 shifts, plus going to school. And then and I kept waiting tables while going to then my bachelor's in nutrition over there, and then master's in nutrition over there. But it was all like surviving, trying to just survive and trying to do better. And then when I graduated with my master's, I finally, within 1 month, I came to Miami to do my PhD in exercise physiology and nutrition at the University of Miami. And I started teaching for as well as, because all doctoral students have to work on research and teach. So I did that. I was working and taking my classes. And that's when I really started to, I was just so happy to leave. I was just so happy. It was the best decision I ever made in my life.
Man, I was like, I struggled in college just because I was drinking too much. If I had to work and do all this stuff, I wouldn't have made it. Jesus Christ. Yeah, similar to you. I was
Yeah.
200 in high school. I got up to 270 pounds, which is about 100 pounds ago. And I went down to 155, which wasn't healthy, not good. Cause I did that. I mean, I guess there was binging. I still may dabble a little bit in the binging, but like it was this body game that I was playing. So first I said, let's try to lose it. And then once you lose, you're like, oh, wow. And this was the first step for me. And I'm curious if once you started seeing changes, if your actual, because my thoughts started changing, like if I can change my body, like everybody my whole life said our family just has bad genetics. We're just thick in the hips and once I started changing, I'm like, what else could I do? And this put me on this path of like, well, what else is actually possible? Did you go through a similar thing?
Yeah. Oh yeah. The victim mindset. I spent a lot of time there. You can only be depressed if you have a victim mindset, and there's no way you can be depressed. I mean, of course there are organic causes, but like there is no way you can be depressed if you are fully aware of your victimization, your self-victimization. So I spent a lot of time there thinking like, there's nothing I can do, or I would just focus on people who regained the weight, and trying so hard to find people who were able to drop body fat, even though they had my genetics. And it's very rare because the vast majority of fitness models are generally lean, and then they lift weights and then they put on muscle mass. But it's not my same thing. It's, for me, it's the dropping the body fat. I can train all day, every day. Exercise comes much easier to me compared to dieting. So finally, I just kept reading, kept watching interviews, kept looking at, listening to podcasts, Instagram, trying to find people who shared my same background, who were able to drop their excess body fat and maintain it. Somebody that really inspires me to this day is her Instagram handle is at Keto Goddess Mama, or Sierra Martinez. And same story as mine, also struggled with depression, anxiety, which I've also struggled with a lot, and schizophrenia. It was all kinds of drugs there to help, and eventually decided like, I don't want to feel like a zombie anymore. And the woman lost an insane amount of weight while having 2 children, two newborns, and she became an WBFF pro. So she's very inspiring to me. And you have to find people like that, because that's going to just shatter your self-limiting beliefs. And those are ways that I helped myself gradually, very slowly, but eventually I left that victim mindset, and I'm just a lot more aware of it now. It almost never pops up anymore. Sometimes maybe, but I honestly cannot actually even remember the last time I felt this way, now come to think about it, in like recent history. So I'm so happy about that.
That's amazing. Yeah, I think that's what you're seeing across the country is a lot of people just taking this mindset of like, it's somebody else's fault. And I think looking at listen, I know we all want to change the world and we're all trying to make an impact, but you have to look inside of your house almost. That's what I say. Inside your personal sphere first before you start trying to change the world. Like, are you making your bed? Are you eating right? Are you sleeping right? Are you doing this? And I'll send out, I'll ask people who have these issues to say, Scott, I'm not feeling well. Well, are you sleeping 8 hours? And people miss this. It's like, to start, let's sleep right. Let's make sure you're eating clean, and all that
Yeah.
good stuff,
The basics: sleep, food, like eating right, and exercise is probably responsible for over 95% of what ails most people. The problem is that they don't have a PR firm behind it, because you can't patent those things. And so all we hear about is the everything else that's like the 1% potential benefit, but there are companies that can make money off of it. So you just hear about it over and over and over again. So
Yes.
you just focus on those things. Yeah.
Now, how has your view on how has the view of your body changed, and how has your view on dieting changed from going from the depressed version to, let's say, the next level?
Yes, after losing the stubborn fat. I think all fat is stubborn. Maybe for some people it's a little bit more stubborn than others. For sure, there are some people who drop body fat easier, but yeah, like I think most of us have what we call stubborn fat. It's just hard to drop body fat. But yeah, how has my views have my views changed? Now, something that I didn't mention is also that I didn't have, like, genetically, my bone structure is more of an hourglass body type. So wide hip bones, right? And a lot of women in Lebanon, in that area, also have that same structure. And so growing up also, I never saw that as a body type that was celebrated. It was always the models, tall, lean, preferably no curves would be the ideal beauty standard. And so I bought into it. And so for me, even as I dropped body fat, it still really took me a lot of time to appreciate my body and to see it as beautiful. I think my husband helped me a lot with that, because obviously when somebody loves you, they keep telling you how beautiful you are, and he's like, no, like, this is what I like, this is the body type that I love. And for me, it was very difficult to believe. It was foreign. It wasn't something that anybody has told me before. And that's another thing. Growing up in Lebanon, it was a lot of putting down women, and it wasn't, it was like my mom would comment like, oh, your ass is getting bigger. I'm like, it's genetic. Like, I wasn't even like gaining weight. It's just the way that my body is. And so those things hurt. And comments here, little comments here and there on your physical appearance. Nobody has ever mentioned, no, not one person in Lebanon has ever told me that I was pretty. So I remember the first time anybody told me that was my friend. I know. It's like, what? My first year as a PhD student, I became friends with another student. She was also doing her PhD. Her name was Lorena, and she was the first person to say that, and like in passing. I remember feeling shocked. I was like, wait, what? You think I'm pretty, really? Like, just to give you the extent of how oblivious I was. And not only that, but I just didn't, I didn't think of myself like that. So all those things, plus the body type, plus the fact that the media around you did not celebrate that body type at all. It was very, very difficult, even as I was dropping body fat, because I'm always trying to look better and better and better, but never really feeling like I'm gonna get there, So it took a very, 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 very long time. But I think finally, really only recently, that I feel like I've embraced who I am. And like, I love how I look. I love that, like, my body type, but that's only happened maybe when I was maybe 35, 34. I'm about to hit 35. So like,
I wasn't bringing up the age. You did. I wasn't going to try to figure it out.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
That's beautiful.
That's fine. Yeah.
Well, to the kid who called you fat in Lebanon, fuck him. Mom,
Yes.
the guys in America like the hourglass. It's what's in nowadays, Mom. So it's all good. And I go through the same thing because like I start to get nervous because it's like I lost weight now. People tell me I look good. I'm like, I just don't. I'm like, I get annoyed. I'm like, I can't take a compliment. You got the abs popping. We're in the gym. We're doing the whole thing. I'm like, is this journey? And I see the guys in the gym. It feels like it's harder for guys because see a guy in the gym. He looks great. 220 pounds. Boy, I can get a little bigger. I should cut. And I'm like, is this just the never ending cycle of just, you can't win the game? Like, how did you end up getting so comfortable? Because I don't know if you're like me. I'm looking in the mirror sometimes. You torture yourself with this stuff. It's crazy. What did that look like? That process of being able to truly accept yourself.
I mean, of course, also the weight loss helped. I'm not going to deny the fact that I actually was able to achieve what I wanted and drop 25 pounds. That helps a lot. And I keep working on my body. It keeps getting better. So that I will never, like, that's for sure very important. But I think just as you age, as you get older, it just experiences in life, you realize that you are appreciated as long as you realize what are the toxic relationships in your life, and you eliminate people that drain your energy. Those are the people that will say those kinds of comments, or like maybe not directly, but like indirectly. You get off the phone with them, no matter how close they are to you, no matter how close a family member they are to you. You get off the phone, you're just feeling like it takes you a while to get back to center. I've been able to, maybe it took me a while, but eventually I was able to cut out all the ties with people that weren't building me up, but just still, like, no matter what I did, it was always a criticism. That for me was major. So I no longer have to deal with that. I no longer have to constantly reassure myself, like, no, I'm worthy. The weight loss was important, and then finding supportive relationships. So for me, my husband really played a huge part as well in making me feel better and feel like I'm beautiful and I'm intelligent and I'm worthy. And it just life experiences over time. You just realize that yes, you do have worth. I'd say those are like the 4 main things for me that worked.
Now cutting out that negative energy. If you have a family member, are you just saying you're not, because this is like, I take the approach, and I started like, if I feel that negative energy, I'm cutting you. You're out, blocking the number, it's out. And I'm like, I start realizing like, shit, I'm not gonna have many people left, like family members, all this stuff. How do you take that approach? Are you just putting them in a different bucket? Like, I'm just not trying to fuck with you?
Yeah, no, completely estranged.
See, so you're like me. See, that's not a bad. I just look at it like look how your mind was so warped through your whole life. You know you were pretty. If you don't know you're pretty, it's over. It's over for me. So I think we are so conditioned by the people around us. You're so conditioned, because my mother is the same way with my sister. Oh, Sabi, you should be losing this and that. It's like, Ma, she can't get any, And I think it does come from the way the older women and cultures are, and all that jazz, because it's just tough. Yeah. Now, what about the diet? Oh, right. I got you crying. I got sad. Say this is. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's not you. It's me. I'm very. That's me. I'm very.
No, good. Listen, we want emotion on this. Do not worry. I hope it wasn't. We're all good, right?
No, you're good.
See?
You're good.
Okay, cool.
Nobody. We all want to have strong relationships. We all want to have a supportive family. And it's just, it's sad to feel like you don't have that, to feel like when you celebrate milestones in your life, you can't pick up the phone and know like you're going to have this beautiful moment, So that's why it makes me sad, and I never ever talk about it. That's another thing. So when you ask me, it's like the first time I talk about it, I guess, on a podcast. So hopefully that I'm getting.
I really don't try. Listen, I'm telling you, sorry, you're not the first woman to cry on the show. I don't try it. It's just, really? It's just. I think it's my feminine energy. I'm gonna take some credit. But no, but it's such a hard thing when like people are not on the same page with you. And I get this from people and my friends, like you want to do X, but the truth is, I think I'm assuming it's a parent. Were you feeling this energy from parents or close
Yeah.
people? Okay. So
Parents,
yeah,
siblings, everybody,
I'm
everybody
with you.
close.
I'm with you. I'm with you. And I
Yeah.
think in the end, these people want what's best for you. It's just, there's like pros and cons. Like you are such a unique individual. You're so diverse, but with that, and this is the path I'm on too. Like, it's lonely in a way. Like it's lonely. And that's why I'm so happy you found a guy because I know some guys who are with pretty girls like yourself. They could be jealous. They could be like more like bringing them down. And it's like
No.
to have a guy that it says so much about the guy. When you could just be supportive, it's like, that takes a shitload of confidence there. So shout out to the husband. What's the husband? Who's the husband? William. Shout out to William. See, you got William though. I'll take William too. William could make me feel good as well.
He is amazing. Yeah. Thank you so much. That's true. It was definitely like the first relationship that was like that. It was so supportive. And I think you get there once you start realizing what you're gonna take and what you won't take in your life. And even, by the way, if you meet a person and there's a certain dynamic, I think as you grow and you no longer accept certain forms of behavior from that person, they can choose to grow with you as well. Like even us together, I feel like we've grown for the better, because sometimes we talk about like even when we first met, as great as it was, we're even so much better now. The way we treat ourselves is even each other is even so much better. So as long as you make it very clear, and you set very clear boundaries about what you will and you will not accept, the other person will understand that it's either I'm gonna be like this or it's just not gonna work, because this other person is fully independent. They're self-sufficient and they're with you because they love you, not because they have to. There's no like, you could be financially, you have to be with that person, or for whatever other reason other than just love and support.
Yeah, so I will tell you, Sarah, you better hold on to him and appreciate that and be grateful, because that's like the same issue I feel like I have with women is there's always like a catch. Like you want to be with me, you want this, but it's if I fit in this bubble. And that's, actually the reason why me and the ex-wife got divorced, because I would say more of that, not like our moms that we're talking about, but like an old school soul of like, well, why are you going to the gym so much? Like, why are you trying to grow? Like people I've accepted now that like, for us to be in this world of growth mindset, there has to be another side that's kind of static mindset. So you need one without the other. But I'm with you on that, because that was always like upset to me. Like people want me to be this Scott who makes money and that identity of, the Manhattan with the suit on, but like that's me. But there's so much more to that. And why can't you just accept all of it? Like you can't have one thing without the other. And I feel like people want their cake and eat it too, in a way, not cheating, just in a way of like, well, I want the good without the bad. Well, you have to kind of accept the totality of a human being to really be able to like love them. I feel like, so that's kind of been my issue with women. Now we're here. Now we're talking about men and women. So
men and women, not too many, preconditions, like it has to be like this, it has to be like that, or no, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Now to this dieting piece.
Yes.
Yeah, let's get to what you do here. We're 30 minutes in here. We're gonna start talking about the science.
You made me cry already.
Crying. I got women crying. Like, listen, this is what people want. I don't know. But my question was that the dieting, how has that really changed for you from the 15, 16-year-old Sarah to who you are now?
Wow, a lot. 15, 16-year-old Sarah thought that carbs were great because her dietitian told her so. So she was having like a huge plate of pasta, which obviously only kick-started more sugar cravings and more yo-yo dieting episodes and hypoglycemic attacks. Like it couldn't last too long without food. You're constantly grazing all day long because your blood sugar is going up and down, right? So a lot of binge eating disorder symptoms, and obviously I gained my heaviest, I got to my heaviest weight during high school. I also gained, I went back to my heaviest when I was doing my dissertation, actually, and there was like the last 2 years were very harsh on me because I just knew I didn't want to be a professor. I knew I wanted to do something like entrepreneurial, like a YouTube channel or something where I'm not employed with a cap and my earning with it, with being told like what is appropriate or inappropriate to wear, what to think, and like all. I'm a very free thinker at heart. The less rules, the happier I am. So.
Right.
So I knew for sure that that wasn't where I wanted to go. So I lost the purpose of why I'm doing my PhD in the first place. Plus, I was looking at it and it's like, this isn't like, is this really going to do a dent in the universe, this dissertation? Like, or I already know how to write it by that point, you know? So all those things led to, plus my advisor, you know, just taking like 2 weeks to meet with me and all that kind of stuff. So frustrating. I went into another depression and I'm an emotional eater. So I also gained back like really heavy weight, my heaviest also back then. So those were like the 2 points in my life where I was at my heaviest. But to go back to high school, I was at my heaviest, right? And but then I graduated and I became a nutritionist. So learning the basics of calorie control, even though they were teaching us all the wrong things, which by the way, they're still teaching what the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics deems is healthy. And maybe also, you know, profit, profit driven. So I did though learn that even if I did eat something bad or a binge or whatever it is, or something not on plan, I can still do like flexible dieting. So this idea of flexible dieting actually helped me go away from this extreme of either super clean or really terrible foods. And I understood like you can still have a chocolate bar and you can still eat everything else on the plan and it's fine. And so understanding the basics helped me. Plus, I was very excited about, you know, about to graduate, and I thought, you know, and I have this practice and all those things are going to happen. So so I started doing a little bit better around that time, weight wise and with my food, but my food still was mainly rice and beans, and like I had no
carbs.
idea. Oh, carbs. I had no idea how important protein was. I mean, I was almost like graduated as even when I finished my master's in nutrition and dietetics, I was still, it hadn't clicked like how important protein was, and I wasn't making any effort to really increase it. It was all calories in, calories out. That was it. Anyway, after I came to and I started my PhD is when it really clicked how important protein was, because I became friends with another international student that first year, and he was into bodybuilding, and he was like, yeah, you need the protein, and blah, blah, blah. He was telling me all these things, and I started buying protein bars, but I would still get like the Atkins protein bars, you know, like things that aren't like clean, you know, but just at least I realized the importance of protein. And I was still kind of, even when I came to I was still like cook rice and like chicken curry, you know, thinking that that's a healthy food, you know. So I wasn't really doing keto, even though at that point I had already read Dr. Lauren Cordain's book, The Acne Cure, and understood that paleo diets and ancestral diets can help with skin. And because acne was a major problem of mine, we can talk about that if you want. But it took me a while. Now, I think the biggest change in my eating habits were again when I met my husband, because he only ate meat. That was it. And he'd be horrified that I would have like eggs with 2 slices of bread and an orange juice. I would literally have that for breakfast. And he'd be like, what? Like, how are you a dietitian? Like, how? don't you know you're not supposed to be eating these things? And, you know, slowly but surely, I started changing my eating habits, getting more cookbooks and doing everything. So the first phase was just doing everything with protein. So like the chicken and the curry was out, and it was now everything with protein. So it was like pancakes with protein powder.
Yep.
Everything, just add protein powder. But it was a lot of addictive food still. It was a lot of things with a lot of ingredients. We did that for a while, and eventually, and I started even preparing for a bikini competition, but I did not time it right at all. I was working so hard doing the posing and slimming down, but at the end of that summer, which was when I was working on it, I was getting married, and I was also sitting for my comprehensive exams, where everything I learned, all the graduate courses for my doctorate, I was going to be tested on for 3 days in a row. So I also needed to study for that. So as the date of the exam approached, I started panicking. And when I panic, emotional eater, I'd call my husband coming from work. I'd be like, please get me a muffin and like a huge cup of coffee. And I remember that summer basically eating muffins and studying. Literally, in maybe 1 month, I undid all the progress I did working on that bikini competition. But from there, eventually my frustration grew with why I'm not finding really good benefit to everything that I'm doing. And I mean, I would spend 2 hours at the gym lifting and doing all kinds of stuff. Every time I would get frustrated, I would go out, watch all the interviews, get all the books, and learn new things. So that's a good thing. Every time you think that you failed or you're frustrated, use that as a learning experience. It's like, okay, how can I not repeat that same thing that I was doing? Go out and like learn everything you can. So it was like a cycle, always working, and then getting frustrated, going on an information binge, and then working on the fitness again, on and on and on. So eventually I discovered Dr. Stephen Gundry, Dr. Mark Hyman, functional medicine, Stephen Gundry with the plant paradox, how plants, not all plants are great for you, if any, you know, like they want to defend themselves. They do have self-defense mechanisms. Most people don't believe that plants are defending themselves in any way, shape, or form, unlike an animal, but they actually do. They're master chemists, and they're creating all kinds of chemicals to prevent predators like humans or other insects or animals from eating them. And that's why they've been able to survive for millions of years alongside animals and humans. It's those very plants that became very good at defending themselves and wreaking havoc upon the other predators. Those are the plants that we have available to us nowadays. So from that, I discovered also ketogenic diet. So the major shift that happened here, I started doing keto, and definitely that clicked with me for sure. And the biggest thing that I saw was energy levels. Like my energy levels were sustained, and I wasn't hungry every 3 hours. And I remember very clearly the day that it happened. I just started doing keto. It's been like a week or a few days, and we went to the zoo, the Miami Zoo. Some zoo. And I remember, because I only had eggs, I didn't have any carbs along with it, or not even berries. I remember very clearly thinking, wow, I'm still energetic, and it's already been like 3-4 hours. Normally by this point, I'm thinking, what do I need to eat right now? I need to have lunch or something. So that, and so many other also instances where I started noticing that I would function differently when I'm doing keto. I was like instantly a believer that this is the best way for humans to be. From there, also, every time I would get frustrated, even on keto, because I would still do the keto addictive foods, you know, because you can do a lot of keto junk food, you know, and trust me, I did those. So eventually, actually, you can go to my YouTube channel and check out like keto dessert recipes. You'll find fudge, you'll find chocolate chip cookies. So
you were doing, you went for it on the keto
diet. Oh, I did. So from there, obviously, that's not gonna get you optimal fitness. So I get frustrated again at so many different points, and every time I do that, I go back and I learn new things and I buy new books. I mean, the sheer amount of books I read just on fitness is like over 250, maybe 300 by this point. Just on fitness. So from there, I discover that, okay, maybe the trick is removing the plants, because I'm listening to the Petersons, Dr. Sean Baker, Paul
Jordan
Saladino,
Peterson lost 40, 50 pounds. We're a huge fan of Jordan on this one. His fixed a bunch of his issues, his ailments. Michaela, same thing.
depression.
Yeah, fixed everything.
Exactly. Things like, I was mind blown. And I learned about those things, but I didn't take quick action right after. Like, it took me a while, because I was like, oh my God, are you telling me that I can only eat red meat? Like, I really took a deep breath before I made that transition. But I started dipping my toes in carnivore, slowly but surely, until eventually I'm a true believer that a carnivore diet, or at the very least an animal-based diet, is the optimal human diet. We were born as hypercarnivores. We became human because we were hypercarnivores. That means we derive over 70% of our food from animal-based sources. And yeah, that's what I do. I love it. I haven't regained the weight, even when I get stressed. Even like I can handle stress or emotions better. And that's where I'm at right now.
Wow. Now you're eating strictly red meat, or just any type of
No,
animal?
I'm any kind. Yeah, I'll do chicken, ground beef, shrimp, fish, all kinds of meats, rotisserie chickens, chicken thighs, all kinds of different chicken, eggs, bacon. I do dairy still. So yeah, just animal based, but I will have still like the occasional quest bar, like the protein bar, but I try not to have those foods be more than 5% or 10% of my intake for the day.
Okay, so a little flexibility. You're not being crazy rigid, because I can
Yeah,
get, if you're running around, you need a bar or something. What do you usually have for breakfast? Eggs and steak and eggs, or
I
no?
usually intermittent fast, and now I'm only doing, I cut out the eggs and bacon because I'm doing now another cut. But before that, like maybe if you asked me a month ago, I was doing, yeah, eggs and bacon for my first meal, which is around like maybe 10 or 11. But now I cut that out, and I'll just have the same food that I'll have later, which is right now, for example, I prepared in a crock pot chicken breast. I'll just have that with some low-fat mozzarella shredded cheese on top, and then some cottage cheese on the side. So that's what
Beautiful.
I'm sustaining upon recently. Yeah.
Now, what do you say to the people that say, Sarah, I can't work out without some carbs?
I think the only way you're ever going to overcome that limiting belief is to do it yourself, and to realize that you can. Not only that, I've actually started putting on a lot more muscle a lot more easily when I started doing carnivore compared to just keto, because the more protein you eat, it's an anabolic stimulus. It means that it sends the message to your body to put on muscle more efficiently. And this is why you see a lot of carnivores that they barely touch weight, but they're muscular, versus people who are eating a lot more plant protein, where they have to work so hard to be able to put on an appreciable amount of muscle on their frame. So yeah, you most certainly can. If anything, that would be the preferred source of fuel for humans, to be eating a very low carb or even a zero carb diet. Because remember, newborns are born in a state of ketosis, which is when your main fuel source is fat. You're mainly running on fat. As long as they're being breastfed, they remain in that ketosis state. In other words, you can think of breast milk as a ketogenic diet food designed to keep the baby in that fat burning mode. And so a carnivore diet is also a subtype of a ketogenic diet that leads us to use fat as our main energy source. So it keeps us in that state of ketosis, which is the optimal human condition to really thrive. And I admit that I also had that limiting belief. Like when I was doing that transition, I still thought that, well, okay, fine, I'm doing keto, I'm doing carnivore, but maybe I need a carb up. Maybe I need a refeed. Like if I have one day where I'm not like 100% motivated, I'm thinking maybe it's been too long and I should have that. And I even would do like a paleo clean carb refeed. I even have a YouTube video on that, on how to do a paleo clean carb refeed. But yeah, I mean, I got over that. You just have to do it. You know, you just have to pay attention that this is a limiting belief and stick to eating meat, and you will notice your performance doesn't.
No, I like what you said though. You said try it, because I think that's the one thing people always just, they want to make a comment, but you know, and that's why I love spirituality. I love the fitness work, because you got to try all these different things. And like, listen, maybe somebody needs a little bit of green, maybe somebody needs, you know, but I like that you could be a little flexible with this, because I was looking at my diet and I'm mostly similar to you: steak and eggs in the morning, steak and eggs at night. So I'm always just summed up a protein, and in my brain, I'm always trying to like throw in a little green because I think it's good. And I'm like, I don't even really like there's no meat. Like for me, it doesn't really. And for you, it sounds like by removing the greens, there was better results.
No aches and pains, no soreness. I don't need to take a day of recovery because all my joints are sore and aching. It's strange how no recovery is needed on carnivore for the most part. Even though I train super hard, I can keep going. Now, if you want some flexibility, have the fruit. The fruit is still so much better than leaves. You know, we didn't walk around eating leaves, picking up leaves and just munching on them, right? That is really not a nutritious food, and it can be a lot more problematic in terms of self-defense chemicals that the plant puts in those stems and leaves. Cut those out if you must have flexibility, and a lot of people can thrive even with a little bit of flexibility. Then just have ripe in season fruits as a whole food kind of plant food that you can include on a mainly animal-based diet.
Gotcha. Awesome.
Yeah.
Sarah, thank you so much for joining me. This was a roller coaster of different topics here, and I think a lot of people, a lot of our fans are going to like love it, just because, you know, we like a little bit of variety on the show. So
thank you so much, Scott. I've loved this. This has been a blast.
Of course, and everybody can check, everybody watching on YouTube, check out Sarah's page. We're going to link it below. We'll link the Instagram, all that good stuff. To the YouTube people, click the like, review, subscribe. You know what to do. People listening, just tell one of your friends about it. That's it. That's it for us. Sarah, anything else? I think we kind of crushed it.
Thank you so much. Anything else? No, we're good. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you guys. All that stuff. And seriously, guys, thank you so much for the support. We're massively growing. We're going to keep going just day by day. That's it. As always, stay safe, stay positive, stay blessed. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Welcome to Cause